tailgate right off of, what's the name of the damn street? Northside Drive. And so he usually stops by, has a beer with your boys every game, man, and watches a little bit of the game with us. Then I guess he has to head back to his job or whatever. Real cool dude. Went to Central State, so I'm always supporting my HBCU grads. Real good dude, man. But word on the street is that 225-pound Terrell Owens actually body slammed 300 and Hugh is a big dude. Like, Hugh is this ninja is big as hell. Like, he's just huge. I really can't. Now, they say that Terrell Owens got him. And I've seen a couple of fights in the locker room. Cats in towels. They got on flip-flops maybe. The floor is wet, condensation from the showers or whatever. And word on the street is they locked up and Terrell Owens body slammed him or suplexed him, something like that. Almost the same damn family. And listen, I guess something like that could happen. But I there's no way I believe that if Hugh Douglas and Terrell Owens squared up, on a field or whatever, in an open space, and they both had on proper shoes where they had proper footing, there's no way Terrell Owens could even get Hugh Douglas off the damn ground. I mean, Hugh Douglas damn wrestled with offensive tackles for a living. That man played in the NFL for 10 plus years. There's no way. But word on the street is Terrell Owens got him. From that ninja, I'm probably in the minority, but is this a thing about who would win a fight between these two? Do people actually care? Well, I actually care. Ducking and dodging. Doug be like, oh, did you hear what he said about you? Kind of like that scene in Do the Right Thing. From that ninja. Where are my manners? Good morning, everybody. Good morning, ninja. Speaking of which, that ninja has a show on WSME, the Underground Railroad Show. Shouts out to Ninja for that. From that ninja, Doug, whoever's the baddest slap my hand. Doug turns around and hits the other guy and says, that's from him. No. Yeah, I used to do that. From Miss Mocha Bella, Charles Barkley is Republican. He supports the orange dude. Yeah. From Grego, we need both of them on TV. They are mainly the reason many people watch that show. You know what? The show was doing fine. And this is something I mentioned earlier talking about the whole Barkley and Shaq thing. They added Shaq just because they could. The show was doing great before Shaq got there. Okay? The show was doing great. That was one of the top rated post-game shows or whatever. They've gotten like Emmys, awards every year for many, many years with Ernie as the point guy and Kenny and Charles, and then they added Shaq. That's why I said earlier, I think there was a little bit of resentment from Barkley when they added Shaq, because Shaq and Barkley, they kind of like do the same things. You know what I'm saying? They kind of like got the same persona and the same rhetoric. The big, lovable guy cracks jokes or whatever. And so I really feel like that when they added Shaq, Barkley didn't like that because he felt like Shaq was going to take some of his shine. Yeah. And so I just think it's always been contentious from the very beginning. And it's starting to boil over. And you've seen hints of it before. And I'm sure, and I'm very sure, that they pulled them cats to the side, man. I'm pretty sure that management pulled them to the side, and they don't want to get rid of anyone. If it was a situation where they wanted to get rid of one of the two guys, and then that would have already been done. And I see somebody in the chat room with Spreaker.com, a man, RC, says, speaking of Hugh Douglas, he got into it with ESPN's Michael Smith a few years ago, and they fired his ass right after that altercation. Right, that's what happens. And so if TNT really have been looking for a reason to get rid of either one, it would have already been done. The day after, it would have already been done. So what's happened, because they probably still want both of them have value, both of them have big brands, they probably pull both of them into the office and says, listen, guys, we got to settle this right now. We got to square this out right now. We got to figure this out right now because it is bad. It is bad. You can cut the tension with a knife between those two guys. And earlier, they used to crack jokes back and forth, but at some point, somebody cut a little too deep. Somebody cut to the white meat. And every time they get into this back and forth, Shaquille O'Neal always, gets on Charles and disses Charles, I guess, to an extent about the fact that he never played in the finals, or he only played in one finals with the Phoenix Suns. He only played in one finals, and then inevitably, Charles Barkley retort is that you were on Kobe's and Dwayne Wade's, and then he also threw in Alonzo Mourning's coattails there when you played in the league, which is interesting as well. You're listening to the Doug Stewart Show. I found that interesting as well, that Charles Barkley says that Shaq rode the coattails of Kobe and Dwayne Wade, when all of you Kobe haters say that Shaq or that Kobe rode the coattails of Shaq. Did you notice that? Did you catch that? Right. So when Barkley said that, I was like, that's pretty refreshing. That's pretty refreshing. It actually has a lot of credibility, a lot of truth to it as well. But you really don't hear that. 99% of the time, you'll always hear somebody say, well, Shaq won or Kobe won these rings because of Shaq. Barkley actually said the opposite, that Shaq actually rode Kobe's coattails. And one thing I will say to the negative towards Shaq in this whole conversation, obviously I'm big team Shaq. The one thing I will say is Shaq is to be as big as he is, he's pretty damn sensitive. Like if I had been as accomplished and done all the things that Shaquille O'Neal said and has got, $300 million in the bank, I don't give a damn what anybody says about me right now. I much could care less if I was established and rich and famous as Shaquille O'Neal. Shaq does let the things Barkley says to him kind of get under his skin. That's very odd. He's kind of sensitive. And I love Shaq now. Once again, I'm a big fan of Shaq. We don't always agree and see eye to eye. A lot of you probably talk about some of the things that Shaq has said and done over the last couple of years, and I totally get it. But in the comparison and the conversation we talk about these two guys, it's not even close of who I'm more of a, I guess, quote-unquote fan of, especially over the last couple of years. But Shaq, I will say, a lot of you have pointed this out. Shaq is kind of sensitive. Like, really, dude? You can't be that sensitive, or you shouldn't care, or you shouldn't be that sensitive when a guy like Charles Barkley, who, once again, he's right, Barkley hasn't accomplished half as much, even though they're both Hall of Famers. Barkley hasn't accomplished half as much as Shaq has done in his life in basketball. If you want to really be honest, Shaquille O'Neal's got multiple rings, regarded as one of the greatest basketball players ever, one of the greatest centers of all times. Barkley is a fantastic player, but whenever you start talking about the greatest power forwards of all times, there's a couple of names that go ahead of Barkley easily. Maybe several. Much more. When you talk about the greatest centers of all times, let's put it like this. When you talk about the greatest centers of all times, Shaq is more readily in the conversation. When you talk about the greatest power forwards of all times, I think Barkley is. Let me step back a little bit from that statement. Barkley was that dude. I think Barkley is in the conversation, but not as much in the conversation as Shaq is to centers, if that makes sense. So I wouldn't care. If I was Shaq, I wouldn't give a damn what Barkley says. I just laugh. Like, they probably think I was crazy. Like, why are you laughing? Because I'm laughing at this ninja across the table. From Grego in the chat room on Spreaker.com, Danny Ainge said LeVar Ball refused to let their kid work out for the Celtics. Boston social media is lighting their asses up, searching for the N-word. Haven't seen it yet. Oh, yeah, keep searching. Boston sports fans using the N-word? Yeah, you'll find it. But that's nothing big, Grego, because they want the kid to play for the Lakers. They don't want him to go to the Celtics. Right, they're willing to sacrifice him going first, but they're not going to help Boston in making the decision. They don't want him to play for the Boston Celtics. I can understand that. And listen, don't even make it seem this is one of those situations where we have short memories. You know how many great players refused to go and play for a team, allegedly. Same thing happened with Eli Manning. Him and his old man wouldn't let him go play for the San Diego Chargers. Kobe Bean Bryant, his old man Jelly Bean, didn't want him to go and play for the Charlotte Hornets. Who else? John Elway. Who was going to pick John Elway? I think it was the Colts. I read something a couple of days ago about John Elway. But John Elway, refused to go and play with the Indiana or the Baltimore Colts at the time. He refused to go play for Baltimore and ended up in Denver, and the rest is history. So, athletes coming out of college going to the next level into their prospective professional leagues, this ain't nothing new. So don't get mad at LeVar Ball and his boy for wanting to be a Laker. Don't get mad, Twan. From James, the big truck driver, I like when women fight and and boobs pop out. Don't judge me, I'm just a man. I agree with you 100%, folk. I got to be honest with you. From that ninja, James, Michael Smith pissed his pants and got Hugh Douglas fired. From Big John B, so Doug would egg Ryan on to fight other kids and sneak a punch or two in while yelling, and y'all better not jump in and laugh my ass off. No. From Ms. Mocabella, poverty is a state of mind, says Ben Carson. Yeah, I read that headline. I'm not going to even dignify that with even a conversation, man. I've been doing a very good job, I think, man. I'm trying to stay away from talking about politics on this show. It's just not healthy for me. I got to be honest with you. It's just not healthy for me. I can't do it. Ben Carson. Kellyanne Conway. Sean Spicer. The Orange Dude. Moving on. The number to the show is 404-382-0338. You can also email me at doug@thedougstewartshow.com. 2010 is the throwback year. Man, we came back from the break. The last segment, the song Waterhead had for me is Drake. Drake been doing it at a high level for a long time, longer than I thought. That was 2010. That track that we played by Drake in the last segment, coming back from the break. Yeah, puts things in perspective. He's been doing it at a high level for a long time. When we get back from the break, man, excuses for LeBron in his horrible Game 3. I'm not saying that it's not true. It's just a topic of discussion. So don't get mad at me, you LeBron apologists. Just hold on, okay? No shade on LeBron. I promise. At least not a lot. Back in 3 minutes.
I play to win. Yeah, I play to win. I play to win. Yeah, I play to win. I play to win. I play to win.
Play to win.
Yeah, okay. I play to win. I came to get it. Let's get it then. You feel me knocking? Let me in. I play to win. I play to win. I play to win. Yeah. I play to win. I came to get it. Let's get it then. Feel me knocking, bitch? Let me in. Bitch, let me in.